Hello, hello. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Good. Um, that video, I can't tell if it's loud enough for you guys or if it's too low. Getting the volume right in the edits is kind of sketchy. It sounds different when I'm doing the edits than it does when I finish it and download it, and then I listen again. I'm like, wait, that's lower or louder than I thought it was going to be. It's like,
Well,
it's
hi,
horrible.
Salty.
Hello, hello. All right, so we'll wait a few minutes and give everybody a chance to get in if they come in.
Okay, I'm gonna jump down and I'm gonna come right back up because I'm having issues on this device that I'm on.
Okay.
All right.
Well, guys, if you are just joining in, it's not going to be a terribly long show. It's going to go over a couple of things. Well, we went over some of the Koberger filings the other night with the death penalty stuff. There's been something else added. We're going to look at that real quick. It's not a lot. And I'm sorry, I was looking at something. Butterfly's having some issues there. And then we're going to just look at some things in the Delphi case and have some conversations about that. Let's see. Are you ready now? Are you
I
back?
am. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay, good. I'll make sure I'm not too loud.
Oops. Yeah. Okay. Where'd my comments go? There we go. Okay. Yeah, like I said, we're just gonna. There's been another document dropped in the Koberger case. We're just gonna go over for a few minutes. There's not a lot there to that, and then look at some of this stuff in the Delphi case that's come down. There's been a couple of filings we haven't covered, and I'll read through a little bit of those. But one of the main ones that Richard Allen's defense just filed was they want the jurors to go out to the crime scene, not only the scene, but to the bridge and a few other key points there in and around the area. So I thought that we would take a look around the bridge. I know the area pretty well. Some of you may not. So I thought we would take a look around at the area and kind of get to know it better.
There's not a lot
So,
there. Thought we would.
uh-oh. Do I have a bad
Okay.
echo?
No, it was me. Sorry. It's done.
Oh,
I fixed it. Yeah.
okay. Yeah. So how did your
So
day
how was your
go?
day?
Uh, Mine was relaxing. I took the day off and stayed home today and got a few things caught up. I'm still
Yeah, I've
having
still
a
been.
few technical issues to work out, but damn it,
Yeah.
they won't get the best of me. I won't let them.
um. Yeah, I've still been dealing with this eye issue, so kind of took another day to just deal with it, and but it's a lot better today. So
Oh, good.
yeah,
There's nothing worse than that. I mean, it's so aggravating, right?
yeah, I can't stand it. Just the feeling of something in your eye, and it was
Yeah.
actually kind of uh, like sore, kind of. So, but it's getting better, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. So when things are like in the most aggravating place, it just makes it like tenfold, right? Because it's so aggravating.
Hmm. Yeah.
So aggravating.
So, what's the status of this storm? What's the
Um,
latest?
it's still forecast to make a landfall around what they call the Big Bend area, which is
Hmm.
to the west of me or the east of me, and which is good for me but bad for them. Um,
Right.
I'm glad I'm not having to deal with it because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd probably be doing
Hmm.
other things, but it's not going to be good. It's anytime we get a Cat 3, that's pretty
Yeah.
bad. Cat 3s are pretty hardcore. Anything above that's catastrophic. Cat 3s
Hmm.
can be catastrophic when it comes to storm surge because storm surge is underestimated a lot of times, even by Floridians, because we were so used to dealing with wind damage. And Ivan taught us we need to look at storm surge, and they're screaming storm surge again with this one, just like with Michael. The way
Right.
it's coming in, the angle, the tides, all that plays a part, and it's gonna put a bunch of that water has to go somewhere. It all has
Mhm.
to end. And when your houses start to fill up with water and your everything, and it you hear constantly, "Oh, I'd leave, I would leave." Well, you can't unless you leave 3 days in advance. Because if you wait to the last minute, you're not gonna get off the interstate. You're not gonna get far. All the hotels between here and Atlanta are probably booked. If you don't have a relative to go stay with, there's a lot of planning and a lot of things you gotta go early. You can't go last minute, or you will get stuck on the interstate. Been there, done that. So all you can do is get off the coast. If you're in a low-lying area, get away from it as best you can, get as far inland as you can, and ride it out. That's just what we do. I live real far inland now, where I used to not. I used to live on the coast, and that's
Right.
no fun place to live. So I'm well enough inland that um, we're a lot safer out here. But still, it's going to be a mess for everybody down there.
Yeah.
That's
It's kind of
on.
like me. Corpus is like 2, 3 hours away. So anything that happens there doesn't really affect me here except for the rain part, if we get any.
Yeah, if this
Um,
thing shifted west or stayed west, it it could still move. We will know more tonight. They go out through a lot of changes during the nighttime hours. Hurricanes do. And they tend to blow up really big, and they usually will get Cat 4 before they make landfall, and they'll go right back to a 3, but that's still 3 or 4 at that point, same difference.
mhm.
But if anything shifts it a little more to the left, then I have to be super worried.
Right.
It only takes a little bit of a pull to the left, but right now they still got it going over there a little more. So, but if I was on the eastern side, it would be really bad. But it's far enough down that we're missing most of that, so I'm not on that side of it. Thank goodness. But I'll be up watching that probably a lot tonight. I always kind of a weather junkie, and I'll track them. I'll track those storms. Hello, Heather. How are you? We're just letting some people come in before we get started talking a little storm. Any of you guys live along the Florida Gulf Coast or West Coast? I hope you're prepared to ride out a hurricane. I was in the store the other day, and a lady was like just panicking. Her and her husband, like, they just moved here recently or something, and she's like, "Is
Mhm.
this storm gonna come here? What do we do?" And we're like, "Just calm down, you know, calm down. First thing you can do." Hey, Firefly, how
Yeah.
are you? Welcome in. So, I thought I had some things worked out with this computer for some reason. Okay, so I got like 3 accounts, but 2 of them I use constantly on the other computer. One I did StreamYard from, one I pulled all the videos we watched from the YouTube. They both ran beautifully on my Google Chrome, all the things. Go to this new computer, I can't get it to work to save my life. So I went to my backup account for the channel, and was able to play it the way I wanted, right? But then I realized it showed an ad, and I was like, "Wait, why is it showing an ad?" Because my Google Premium, YouTube Premium is on my other damn account. I was like, "Wait a minute. I got too many things going on here." So, I'm going to play some videos from my backup account because I can get a better view because I can get it to work right, but there may be an ad or two. I'll try to skip through them, but I guess I'll start to figure it out. I was trying to pull up document earlier to read a document for you guys, making sure we could see that properly, and I was having an issue zooming in and out on it. I was like, what in the hell is actually going on with this damn computer? Like, I don't think Mercury's in retro right now. Yeah, I thought about you, Firefly. When we chatted briefly earlier, um, Tampa Bay is gonna get a lot of moisture in there. You're probably gonna get some good rain bands coming through there later. Thursday, I guess, Thursday night into Friday. Stay safe and dry. So, I don't know if I can pull it up on here without it. Let me see. I know what I'll do. I'm just going to pull it up over here and read it, because if I do it over there and it don't work right, it will probably just get on my nerves. Oh, okay. I know what I did with it. Okay, so I noticed that in the filings with Brian Koberger that there was a new filing, and I was like, well, what is this? So I went to go look, and I assumed, and I guess I was wrong for assuming to start with, but because they already had, an order in place for him to come in street clothing, that to his hearings, that would automatically carry over to the new county and the new setup over there. But apparently not. Apparently he had to file again. I guess it's specific to each county. So it looks like there's a new filing for that, which I'll be shocked if the judge says no, that you can't come in your street clothes to your hearings. Although most of the time it's not your hearings you wear them in, it's the trials. But Koberger's been allowed to go ahead and wear street clothes for his hearings. Now Sarah Boone's over here asking for the same thing, but she also wants like a little glam squad to come in there with her. She needs hair and makeup people. Like, what? You can give her a little bit of makeup, I guess. Give her a little bit of hairspray and a brush, but do you need someone to come in and do your makeup for you? It is what it is, sister. Okay, let me read this. I don't get glam squad, you know what I'm saying? I don't even put that much effort in. Shit. I wouldn't know how to act with a glam squad. Wow, they made this like, well, I guess it's not too long to ask for clothing. Okay, so it's a motion for defendant to wear street clothing to all public hearings. And if you guys missed it, I did post the link to all of the Koberger filings in the community. It used to be community tab, community post. That way I don't have to go and post each document for you unless you just want it. Like I said, just let me know. But I did post the link there. If you scroll up a few posts, you'll see it, and then you can save it to wherever you want to save it, and you can look up all these documents. Okay. So, motion for defendant to wear street clothing to all public hearings comes now. Brian Koberger, through his attorneys of record, and hereby request this court provide an order for Mr. Koberger to attend all public hearings in street clothing. The motion is based on the 5th, 6th, 8th, and 14th Amendment to the United States Constitutions and Articles 1, 6, 7, and 13 of the Idaho Constitution. This request is owing to the public nature of the case and vast dissemination of images of Mr. Koberger. Well, the only images out there really are the ones in court. There's a few out there, I guess, but not too awful many, really. In my opinion, the ones that are out there are used all the time. The United States Supreme Court, she's going to go into case law, recognized that causing a person to appear in front of his or her jury in jail clothing would impact the presumption of innocence. Mr. Koberger respectfully requests all public hearings be considered prejudicial similarly. See, jury and that meant the jury. So you only get your jury when you're at trial. So they want the hearings to be considered just as prejudicial, to justify getting the clothing now. And it worked last time, so why wouldn't it work this time? In the years that have passed since the Estelle case was decided technology has changed public access to the accused. The public has the ability to attend public hearings through live streamed hearings. Potential jurors are exposed to every hearing. Mr. Koberger, having been recently granted a change of venue due to the ongoing vast and prejudicial pretrial publicity, recognizes that continued media coverage may impact his right to a fair trial or fair impartial trial. As such, avoiding coverage in jail clothing is one thing that can reduce the prejudice. During the short time between Mr. Koberger's transport to Ada County and the drafting of this motion, Mr. Koberger's defense team is aware of at least 900 media stories, any of which have focused on Mr. Koberger's recent booking photo depicting facial hair. Oh, well, damn. As we placed in the record at the hearing to change the venue, expert testimony at the public interest will not wane. This testimony continued to accurate given the extensive nature of media coverage in the immediate past 5 days. Much of the media coverage and social media posts focus on Mr. Koberger's appearance. Authorizing Mr. Koberger to wear street clothing to all public hearings is one way to reduce potential for prejudice. Well, I get it, Anne. But I also show other defendants and talk about them. I'm going to do the same about him, but I'm going to be as fair to him as I am to them, or I'm going to do my darndest. I posted the picture of the mugshot with the beard because it's public record. Didn't make no big deal about it. I almost said, I wonder if he'll shave for his next hearing, but I know he will. She will tell him to. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of this is like, you can't stop it all
Right.
of the media. And I do understand where they're coming from, wanting to present in the street clothing. I get it, and I don't have a problem with it. I honestly don't. I don't think it's going to make a difference as far as evidence at trial. You know what I mean? But
Right.
to keep, some people will have that preconceived notion. So I do understand, but at the same time, don't act like he's the only defendant that gets talked about.
True.
I don't know. I do understand it, but I also understand I'm about to talk about Richard Allen, and he's a defendant, Daryl Brooks, that dude, man. I'm reading some comments here. Heather, stop it. Challenge Twiz and Santa to a beard off. Oh my God. Twiz, where is he? Yeah, Richard Allen, I don't know if this guy's guilty or innocent because I can't make that assumption yet. I can lean a certain way based on what we've seen documentation-wise, and there's a lot there to cause some reasonable doubt. We're going to look at some of those things in a few minutes. But if you look at pretrial defendants, and I touched on this a long time ago before I began streaming. I was just doing Twitter, and it blew me away at some point where Richard Allen, Brian Koberger are arrested a month apart, both for horrendous crimes. There's no difference. I'm sorry. 2 little girls in the woods taken the way they were, 4 students the way they were both horrendous crimes. So they're arrested a month apart. One is sent to prison automatically for safekeeping and housed in 24-hour, solitary confinement up until just a few weeks ago, a year and a half. The other one is sent to the county jail, provided everything that he should be. His vegan meals, got his clothing for his hearings and all the things. Meanwhile, Richard Allen is nowhere to be seen. locked up tight somewhere with some Odinistic guards, guarding him. When he did show up in court, he's shackled. He's got the orange on. He looks like he hasn't showered. It was, it's like, well, they're both pretrial defendants coming through the system at the same time. But it took a long time for anyone to notice. Not everyone, because there was a handful that did notice that Richard Allen's rights were being violated. And there was a whole bunch of people making sure Brian Koberger's weren't. And Anne fought and made sure they weren't. But the same group of people didn't even bat an eye over toward Richard Allen. And to me, it was like, that's strange behavior. They both deserve equal treatment. Could you imagine if Judge Gull was the judge in Idaho for Brian Koberger and just denying every motion that came down, or not even holding hearings for the motions, and just, no, 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 I'm going to fire your attorneys and do all this? Man, YouTube would be on fire. Like, I think it might blow up. I'd blow up. I'd be like, no, that's not right. Yeah, I don't understand how she gets away with so much. There was the one time that, well, twice she had to go before the Supreme Court, but they didn't take her off the case. They left her. But they did order the attorneys to be, reinstated to the case, and they ordered her to stop putting case files in and out of there when she felt like it. I'm going to put this into the court filings, keep this out. We will seal this, we will unseal that. It's like, no, stop it, Judge. That is
Yeah.
public record, and you need to keep it, keep it that way. But it's almost
I
like
just
she had
don't.
Go ahead.
I don't understand how she gets away with it all, and then it just seems like later on down the road, it opens it up for appeal in the event he is found guilty.
They do have quite a bit they can lined up, they can do appeal with. But every time the defense attorneys wrote a motion to try to get her removed, okay, the Supreme Court said you skipped a step. You needed to go down a step to the lower court, file there first.
Wow.
They didn't actually go back and do that. And then the second time they did go back and try, it was the way they worded the document apparently wasn't correct in nature to get what they wanted done. And it's like, what in the world? Either we got some loony attorneys over here with the defense who really don't know what they're doing, or y'all are just like, every turn they make, you're like, no, 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 and you're coming up with good excuses as to why you won't. Now you're saying your legal argument wasn't good enough. You know what I mean? Or you skipped a step in your process, and it's like there was no checks and balances in Indiana. You know what I mean? And you would you need checks and balances with everything. Like, who's watching the
And it's so
watchers?
blatant. It's so blatant, and she's already been reprimanded once, correct?
Yeah, with the Supreme Court. Well, and they didn't remove her off the case. They said that the defense had to go back down to the lower court. But yeah, she was ordered to put all the records back into the docket, and to stop doing what she was doing, and to reinstate the attorneys, because she made them just like resign. She's like, I don't like you. I don't like your filing. I don't like your Frank's motion. I didn't read it, and you're not going to get a hearing on it, and you're done here. And then she came back out into the chambers, into the open court, and was like, pretty much, well, there's been a change of events. And we're all like, what? We finally get a televised hearing, and you stop it dead cold and fire the attorneys and be like, oh, well, like, no, lady, did you do it on purpose because you didn't want to have that live hearing? That's crazy to me. I hope that was the dog in there bouncing around and not like a person trying to come in my house. The doors are locked, so this dog is not a big barker. She's only going to bark if something's out there. We're the only ones home right now. Sorry. I think someone is coming in. I guess my grandson's back from his game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're back. They had his first soccer game was tonight, and
That's awesome.
my other kiddos at work, and one just got home with the grandson from soccer. So anyway, but yeah. So do you agree with Koberger being allowed to wear his street clothes to his hearings? Like
I mean, if the jury isn't present, it's just, I mean, I don't see why not. I mean, I guess it depends what they consider street clothes.
his suit that he's been wearing, because
Oh,
typically
okay.
you only do that during your trial,
Right.
right? And even the other day when Sarah's attorney was asking for it, the judge told him, he's like, look, we've already approved this for her once. Like they literally had somebody from the public defender's office bring clothes in, all in her size. What's there is there. And I don't know if it was not up to Sarah's standards or what, but generally, um, not many people in Florida get to wear their street clothes to the hearings, is to trial. Um, Casey Anthony wore all her clothes. My phone is just like going crazy. She only wore her street clothes to trial, and that's what a lot of them do. They get they so I don't know. I mean, I don't really have an objection to the hearings, but it's not standard. But he was granted that motion, with Latah County, and that's why you've been seeing him in the suit. Um, because while it is a high profile case, it's not the only one out there. Now, Karen Reed was allowed to wear suits to her hearings as well. And then, and Lori Vallow, I think, in Idaho was her orange for hearings, and she got street clothes for her trial, just like Chad. So, Brian, I think, was the first one to get it for hearings. So,
Hmm.
I think Judge was also giving whatever was needed to try to avoid uh, smaller things to go on appeal. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Exactly.
You're
That's
already
kind of
going
what
to
I
have
was thinking.
yeah, you're going to have big things to go after on appeal. Why
Yeah.
clutter it up with those little things like change of venue or street clothes? You know what I mean? Just give
Mm-hmm.
give it to them.
Right.
Give it to them.
Yeah,
I
it
don't.
doesn't bother me. I mean,
Yeah, no, it's not going to make a difference to me because whether you got
mm-mm.
on a suit and tie or an orange jumpsuit, when it comes down to it, even it doesn't matter what you're wearing at trial. I'm looking at evidence and I'm looking at
Exactly.
your face. If they show your face, because I need to see your
Mm-hmm.
natural reaction to things.
Right.
If I'm a juror, I'm watching the defendant while certain things are being talked about to
Yep.
see a react. You know what I mean? You got to get a feel
Mm-hmm.
for the person. Um,
I'm the same. I mean, we already know he's in jail, so whether or not he's wearing.
I guess I, some people, I guess it would affect them, but I wouldn't me, but I'm not everybody. But if I was an attorney, I would probably say no. Let's just go ahead and do a suit, to not give them the chance to have a preconceived notion, I guess. But it's still going to come down to that darn evidence. So let me look up something. I wanted to attempt. Hold on, my son is getting on to his son for something. He gives his daddy hell.
And I bet
He's,
you're like, yeah.
I think it's so funny sometimes. I heard my grandson say, "Okay, I love you." Okay, so what do you guys think in the comments? You think Brian Koberger should be allowed to wear his suit and tie? Do you think it makes a difference either way? Now, if you look at the Koberger case and the fact that the house is gone and how everyone, was had their thoughts on that because of the possibility of jurors going to the scene. Um, I understood that the house went through a lot of changes because they tore out pieces of walls and pieces of floors, and they moved all the things out and the acoustics and all I got it, They used all the Faro scannings, which I'm curious to see how those things work. We also know they used Faro scanning at Matty Soto's crime scene as well. So I know that that's the future of technology. But in Delphi, we have an outdoor crime scene. So Richard Allen has filed a motion for the jury to go and view the crime scene. Knowing how Judge Gold normally rules, anti-defense, she has ruled in favor for, things she should and some things that she just downright never did. Anyway, I don't know how she'll rule on this. We'll see. She'll probably come up with some good excuse, but she should allow it. Hey,
Right.
Jeff, how are you? Yeah, let him wear whatever he wants, Jeff. At this point, it doesn't matter to me either. But I get where Anne's coming from. You don't want to give any reason to cause any prejudice in that darn case. My goodness.
That's enough of it.
Good Lord, you can't. You gotta be real careful and look over your shoulder even when you speak about it sometimes. So,
Yeah, exactly. Who's listening?
right? I'm just gonna whisper his name.
Right.
Don't come at me.
Right.
I'm about
Don't
to
say
talk
it 3
about
times, please.
Oh my God. I'm gonna say Richard Allen's name. Okay,
Oh.
so we're gonna shift gears, as they would say, and move into Richard Allen. I think I got it wrong on my description, guys. I think I put the 28th was Koberger's hearing. It's the 26th. So I'll have to go back and look at that and change it. I posted it into the community post the other day, but I'll give a reminder. I'm not sure if I'll be live, probably maybe that evening, to go over what they do, because it's a status conference with the new judge in the new county. So curious to see how it's probably a scheduling and all the things. So we'll see how it goes. But all right, so moving over to Delphi. I'm going to play you guys something in just a minute. But so they have a motion for jury to view the scene. Richard Allen, by counsel pursuant to that goes into the Idaho Code, asked the court to order that the impaneled jury be transported to the Freedom Bridge. And I'll show you guys video in a few minutes of where the Freedom Bridge is as located to all these relevant spots they're going to talk about. Freedom Bridge, the Monon High Bridge. Is Joe here? It's the Monon High Bridge. And to the site where the bodies of the victims were located, as well as the site of the old CPS building where the prosecution claims Richard Allen's vehicle was parked between 1:30 and 4 on February 13th. We have video of that as well. The view would be requested as it would greatly aid jurors in understanding evidence presented at trial, including observing and feeling the unique topography of the land, something that cannot be understood from photographs and video. That is true because it is crazy there. Specifically, the request for the jurors to walk the trail from the Freedom Bridge to the Monon High Bridge, to then view the opposite end of the bridge where the victims were allegedly abducted. Now, you can't get there from the old bridge anymore, but you can. There is a way to get to it, and I'll show you guys. Excuse me. To walk the trail from the okay, I said that. Finally, to view the area where the victims were found, and then the location where the prosecution claims Richard Allen parked his car from 1:30 to 4:30. These locations are less than 2 miles from the courthouse. Juror transport and viewing could easily be completed in under 90 minutes. Allen and his counsel, Andrew Baldwin and Bradley Rossi, and Jennifer Auger request to be present, along with the prosecution, and observe the viewing under whatever direction and guidance of the court may order under the Indiana Code section. If, because of any security concerns, The court does not wish to allow Allen to be transported to view the scene. He waives any such right and asks that the court order the jury view occur without him. So Allen wants to be present, but if the court decides for security reasons he cannot, he's fine with that. Still take the jury out there and let them see. What do you think about that? Do you think they should go out there? How many of you guys have had been able to view footage of the bridge and kind of get a? I mean, you've probably seen some footage of the bridge. Do you think the jurors should go out there to get a feel for the area and see with their own eyes? I think it would be important for this case. I was just checking comments,
Yeah.
guys. Butterfly, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm still here. I was on mute, but yes, I think they should go. They should go see it. The video only shows you so much, and then you don't have the experience of being in that location.
Yeah. Yeah. It's important to go see the scenes. I get. I mean, I understand technology's changing in some of these scenes because I've seen like there's some really good videos of what the Pharaoh scanning can do, and even down like I was amazed at some of it. But some I know it will work with a lot of cases, but some it just I don't know how well it can capture like an outdoor scene like this, even an
Right.
indoor. Today's technology, for whatever they did in the King Roadhouse, we'll find out at trial. But also like outdoors, they used it the scene for Madeline Soto. I don't know that they used it. I've not seen anything in any documents with Delphi saying they use any kind of Pharaoh scanning or anything to preserve what they could of the scene. So if they don't have that, the next best thing is to take your jury out there. Because if they didn't even do that, all we have is photographs. And like Heather said, you're not going to get the feel for that just by viewing a photograph, you know. And yeah. So if they don't even have the Pharaoh available, you need to load them up and take them out there. Yeah, uh, they're using it so much now, and police have been using that Pharaoh stuff for a long time, but not like they have used it in courts, but it's becoming more and more of the standard. A lot of agencies are using it out there, and I just don't know what the latest technology on it is, how well it
Right.
is, acoustics, how I just don't know. I'm
Yeah.
curious to find out for sure. I'm really curious to find out
Mhm.
because if
Me
they were
too.
able to, scan, because I know they scanned the King Roadhouse. I don't know if that took place. I mean, I know it took place two different times, but I don't know if the first time was before or after cutouts began of the floors and the walls and moving of furniture and things to change the setting, if you will. You know
Right.
what I mean? I
Mhm.
really don't know. I'd be guessing to say. Even if I went back and watched the old footage and looked at the dates, I don't know if I would be accurate with it.
Right. And plus, it's changed since they took those photos with the bridge, correct?
Of the Monon High Bridge,
Mhm.
yeah, well, what they did was they reinforced the bridge, and it's
Oh,
blocked
okay.
off. Part the front, say I don't remember how many feet out. At the very beginning of it is like new, and it only goes out a little bit, and then it stops, and you cannot cross it. Well, you could climb over it, but you're not supposed to. And then the old wood bridge is still there, but you're not supposed to go out there. So
Right.
it's not safe for the jury to go on that bridge. But we'll look at the
Mm-hmm.
video in a minute. But underneath the bridge, and it's one of the first things I noticed years ago when I began to look into this location. Directly underneath that bridge is a private drive. Private drive comes out from Highway 300 back out there, goes under the Monon High Bridge, and back into a piece of property. A car, you can drive down there and park and climb up the hill and stand right where they were allegedly standing at the end of the bridge when told to go down the hill. So you can come up that way and view from that end, but you just couldn't walk all the way across it anymore. You know what I'm saying? But I'll show you. Let me pull up this video. I think it might be in this one. Like I said, if there's a stupid ad, I'm sorry. I didn't realize this account. I guess it's only on one of my accounts that I have that on. Uh-oh. What's going on here? Oops. Let me get it to the spot where I can see the road underneath it. Okay, this is video from someone who is very familiar with the Delphi case.
Can't
Her
see
name is,
anything if you're trying to
yeah,
play
I
it.
haven't put it up there
Okay.
yet.
Okay. Just checking.
This is, I'm going to turn the volume down on this video while it's playing, because I can tell you what's going on in the video. All right, let me get it up here. Okay, so when I started, if you look down to the right a little bit, you can see a little bit of the drive, and then it's all, the camera's going to pan over toward the left, I believe, and that's when you'll see the rest of the drive. And you'll see it goes directly under this bridge, and this is a view looking out toward the end of the bridge where they were told to go down the hill. Let me know if you guys can't see it. Let me know in the comments, and I'll kind of walk you through it, talk you through it. So right down there to the right, you see there was a little bit of the road, if you could see it. And I'm going to look over to the left in just a second. There it is down there
Yeah, I can
again.
see it.
Yeah. So it's coming from that side. It'll go under the bridge, and she'll show.
No way I'd be walking on that thing.
That goes back toward the highway. See the bridge, the drive?
Yes.
And that goes back the other way. Back toward the trailhead, the way she just looked. And now she's going back toward the end of the bridge. And that road literally goes all the way under the bridge, around the other side, right down along Deer Creek. And you have to cross that drive when you go down that hill. See, there's the driveway again. And that's back toward the trailhead. Okay, didn't need to see you spit, dude.
Right.
And there's the drive. Yeah, Jeff, that's the private drive. There's a excuse me, there's a home down at the end that you can't really see, but it leads to their home, their property down there. But it's a very convenient road.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And this is the end of the bridge where allegedly they were told to go down the hill, and it's to the left. Very steep. Notice how steep that is here.
Yeah.
Oops. I don't know if I did that right. Oh, they're going to go down the... Okay. So they're all the way off the bridge now.
Yeah, it is.
See,
You can tell from there.
Yeah. And so the road goes all the way back into the private property The Deer Creek runs just on the other side of that, and then of course they were found just to the other side of that. So they went down this hill, across that drive, allegedly, across the creek, and into the location where they were found. And I do have footage of that somewhere. So let me. And see here, it's steep but still doable, I guess. And there were some spots that weren't as steep as others. And Mr. Steve pointed that out when he was telling me that you can get from, there's a cemetery that backs up to the location where on the side the girls were found, and you can get to the location where the girls were found through the cemetery. And it's kind of the same terrain as you see here. But there were areas of lower where it wasn't as steep, you know what I mean, compared to
Right.
the
Yeah,
other
you could
parts.
tell.
Yeah. So, and here's private property once you got to the very, very end. In fact, there's an outbuilding out there. That property was searched early on. Of course, nothing was there, and everybody, lived there, was cleared of anything. So they weren't found on that property or anything. But you can tell how steep it is.
Yeah.
Right there is pretty steep.
It kind of looked like when you first got off the bridge, it wasn't so steep right there, and then a little bit after that, wasn't as steep. But
Yeah, it had spots you could actually probably get down there without making it too hectic to get down.
right.
So, okay. So you get that one gave you a pretty decent look at the end of the bridge area. Oops. I hate when it does that. Stupid thing. Okay. For some reason I thought I hooked up the second monitor, but something's not hooked up right. I think it's the cable needs a new one. But this computer, like I said, I don't think my son bought a new monitor when he bought this computer, just like use his old TV or whatever. And every now and then it'll go black screen on me. I'm like, no, what's going on?
Oh no.
Dude, I can't deal with that. I like that other monitor I had, that Samsung monitor. I'm gonna have to go get me another one of those.
Another one. Yeah.
Maybe that's my screen. I don't know. I don't like this one. Maybe it's just me not liking this one. I just gotten used to my other one. You know what I mean? And I liked it. So here we
But
go.
I'm with Jeff. I never noticed that road down there before. I mean, I haven't studied this case like that, looked at the videos that closely, but I didn't notice that road either.
Yeah.
Under that road.
It's like I said, that's the private drive, and it's crazy because when I first started looking at the area, I saw it, and I was like, what in the world is that? Where does that go? Someone could have parked down there,
Yeah.
kind of thing. I still can't rule that out in my mind.
And could that have been what he was referring to? Maybe a vehicle or something.
There's a lot of people who theorize there could have been a vehicle parked down there. Because if you go back to the timeline and to the state's own timeline, and then you go look at Abby's phone details on different things, you have to question, were they taken away in a car,
Right.
brought back later, or taken away in a car and taken back through the cemetery back to where they were at? I don't have any freaking clue,
Right.
But that road is something you can't get out of it's like you can't unsee it once you see it, right?
Right. Yeah.
And they were told they went down the hill and across the creek. Okay. Now this one, let me see if I can get where was she at on this one? I may have to hear her talk for a minute. It's okay. Let me present. Likely path. Okay, which one was this? The likely path taken. No. Oh, y'all don't know that.
But you can be
Okay. This is Julie Melvin. She was around for quite a while in the Delphi case and didn't mind talking to people about things. She's still around. I haven't seen her in a hot minute, but this is a channel she has. I think she still has it. I mean, it's still up. This is one of her videos of showing the terrain in the area. So, and she doesn't mind they're being shown. So, anyway, that's who this is. So I'm gonna let her talk so we can kind of hear about where she's at. And if it's low, that's because the video is low on the YouTube. I got everything turned up for us.
on this path. It's much easier to walk this path, so I'm a little quicker than he would have been. One of the original eyewitnesses who now, well, later said, no, I didn't see him, Bridge Guy. But do we know in fact that he didn't see Bridge Guy? Because he was going off of the description of the guy being, 5'10" and between the ages of 18 and 40. Well, we now know that that's not accurate. Therefore, it may be possible that he indeed did see Bridge Guy when he was with his girlfriend by the trail split. So Doug Bryce and I both have an accounting about that eyewitness event, which I'm going to show you. This was much more grown up here.
Sorry, I was looking at something. So I think I was muted. Did you guys hear me say that they've improved the trails and all since then?
No.
Like they're paved now. They have trail cams up now, and they've paved the main trail paths out to the bridge, and this would be one of them. So I want to fast forward it though. Let's see.
Blue flags that were set up by law enforcement early on. I talked with one of the people that helped set up these blue flags of the guy's path back. Okay. So I don't believe that he would be expose himself here when I actually walk the path that I think he walked, which would be a little more difficult. So I'm going to do that now. Which, stick the bushes. Although for purposes of not getting stuck, I may have to.
Oh, she's just walking
Yep,
around
he
guessing.
walked to woods.
I want to show you guys a different one because it has an area I wanted to show you. Let me go pull
I'm
up.
just going to show you something. So we're walking. We
Go out of that one. Okay.
Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I was pulling this up. This is going to be, hold on. Okay. It's like they're speeding. Did y'all notice that? This is going to be like going into the cemetery. Mason, hold on, honey. Okay, I believe that is from Richard Allen's house.
1967 Whiteman Drive.
Yeah.
This is
Okay, so this is the drive from what would have been from his Richard Allen's house over to, I believe, where the CPS building where they said he parked, and it's literally just minutes from his house. And this is what they. So let's see how long it takes her to get there.
is Rick Allen's path to the bridge. I am 100% sure of it. So let's see how long it takes him, and let's look at the path. He goes the back way. Up here is, so the transfer station's over there, and this is 625, which there's Abby's house right there to the left.
Okay. What? Hold on.
Up here is, so the transfer station's over there, and this is 625, which there's Abby's house right.
So Abby's house was near the 625. I couldn't ever figure that out. I knew it wasn't too far. Hold on, so I gotta write that down. 625, because I know where that's at. It's been a long time since I've watched any of Julie's videos.
Left.
Really fast.
So we're just going to keep going. It is the long way around, for sure.
You notice how rural it is? I mean, rural, but it's like where I live.
And I don't think, well, no, I don't think you can get through there. That's PTI machining. You have to go all the way up this way in order to get around to the bridge. good back way where people would least suspect you.
Oh, Jesus, it takes a few minutes, don't it?
Okay, we're going to turn here. This is purposeful, man. 450 West. Come back around this way. That way you avoid cameras in town at businesses capturing your car, or so you think. He forgot one place, and also there's always a likelihood if there was cameras that people had out could have caught it, but doesn't sound
Is
like
that route from his house like the best way to go,
So
or
again,
is that
his
what
own-
he chose? Sorry.
I think she is doing her a guess, a theory of which way he went, because I don't think it's really known which way he did go, because his
Right.
car is allegedly seen on camera by the Hoosier Harvester store, but there's not much talk about that. But we know that camera saw Kelsey's car, Libby's sister. There's questions about whether it ever saw Richard Allen or not, and she's going to show that building in a few minutes. But that was literally the only camera out there that we know of,
Okay.
like the only one, because there's not that many houses out here. And if they do have ring cams or anything, they're far
Too
back
far.
off the roads. Yeah, they sit back off some sit closer to the road than others, but even in my area that's rural like this, you're going it so quickly by,
Yeah.
and they're set
Yeah.
further back. I don't know if you'd know what they were.
Right.
on our way to the Monon High Bridge, the path that Rick Allen took. He drove this path. And to pay attention to the time that it takes, because this would have been the back path that he would have driven home. It's a straight, easy back way, not to be seen in town. If you were seen out here, people wouldn't likely put two and two together. It's just another vehicle you're passing by. And then here we are at 300 North. We're going to turn left. And we're on our way to the High Bridge. So I'm keeping it around 50, 55. But right now I'm not quite 50 miles an hour. This is Wilson's Bridge that we're coming up to. That's why it's a one lane. And as you can see, people go, this is where a lot of people put in for.
Hi, we're Visible. We offer one-line wireless plans with no hidden fees for just $25 a month on Verizon's 5G network.
On tubing. The water's really up right now. We've had a lot of rain. So we came back around this way. And if I see the cabin through here, I'll let you know. I don't see it, but it doesn't mean anything. Just kind of showing you for purposes of recreating this path. this is the home. I don't know who lives there now, but that was the Abbott home. Wait, not that one, sorry. I'll show you. This home was for sale at the time. Just kind of an FYI, not any reason at all. Okay, I can see back there, I can see a house. Oh, I can see the cabin back there. I think it's the cabin. Yeah, I can see, I don't know if you guys can see that. But back there across the water is a little cabin. I'm still looking. Oh, I see it. I see it. Oh, here. Do you see it? Do you see it? Let me pull up. Do you see it? The cabin. It's right there. It's right there. That's the cabin. Okay. So we're at what? 8-minute drive. So he took the back way. He could have gotten there quicker, but no. He didn't want to be caught on camera. And most of those homes don't have cameras facing the streets. There's the Mears barn that's brand new, and there's Ron Logan's house.
So did you notice on the left is Ron Logan's house? And on the right was the Mears barn. Just down from that was the Mears farm, is where the girls were dropped off at. And Ron Logan's property was right there, and that's on the back side of his property. Technically, they were found. He backs up to the Monon High Bridge.
And none of those houses have cameras.
And then,
No, and Ron Logan's property was searched by FBI. He was
Right.
named their suspect. You know, he's no longer with us. Pandemic thing got him, but he lied about his alibi and different things. But investigated, but was never charged with anything.
Right.
So,
and here we are, the cemetery.
and the cemetery is next to Ron Logan's property, which, look, I was talking about earlier, that you could you could reach where the girls were through that area.
Right.
Like I said, you cannot really see very easily somebody that's at the very back of it. It's hard to see. Okay, I'm going kind of fast because I've been here all day. I need to get out of here. Of course, we have Mears up here. Sherry Mears at that point had been put in like a nursing home, but people still would come there, shoot, go hunting.
So this is the location where the girls were dropped off at. Right here on the left-hand side, there's like a little area that leads to the trail. And it was right across from the Mears farm. And then just past here on the right is going to be the Hoosier Harvester building with the camera. And then just to the other side of that is the CPS building where he allegedly parked the car.
So right here is the drop off. Sorry, I'm going fast.
You slow down.
And
Julie. Jesus.
Here is where the Hoosier Harvester caught Rick Allen's vehicle. See, there is a little, you guys see that little white camera there? There's cameras. That's where they caught his vehicle. And then, of course, he comes right back around here and pulls into the CPS building. And I am going just a little, 4 mile an hour. goes faster. So right here is where the old CPS. And then he pulls in here and allegedly backs into that spot. So that's it.
So was he already there when they were dropped off, or did he go after, as far as the timeline goes?
Well, so timeline wise, I think he stated he was there from, wait, it was just in that document read to 1:30 until he, pretty much placed himself there during the times, but he allegedly left. Let me see. I'd hate to be quoted wrong. So he was there, but allegedly had left like before. So the prosecution claims he was parked there between 1:30 and 4 p.m. But in Richard Allen's statement, he had already left the area by, I think, 2 or 2:30. I think it was 2 o'clock. And I'm going to have to get the documents and get the actual timeline down on that. But that's important stuff to keep. That's really key points we need to know. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And that's why I was getting together some of the documents, because there's so many. And I reached out to somebody on Twitter, and she hooked me up with some really good documents that on some geofencing stuff, because I want to put together another show. And then go over some of the key elements with the filings that are out there, but the timeline stuff, because that's really what the defense is like hammering, with some of this stuff. It's like, the phone data, there's time discrepancies, there's discrepancies on time of death. All these things are also a problem. They're problematic, and they don't
Because
want to.
we don't even have time of death, do we?
No, not an act. No. Mm-mm. And everything, that it doesn't, even if you take away all the odonism stuff, everything else that the defense is asked for, as far as their experts, and even questioning the time of death and all of that, and the phone data, they're not even wanting to play ball with that.
Right.
And say, okay, because they did new extractions on Libby's phone as technology grew. They did more with the phone, and now we're hearing what came back on at 4:30, and all the, when it was literally under her at that point, and had been for hours, according to this weird, a lot of weird things. So, putting together, and gosh, there had been so many documents to keep up with lately with that case. It's kind of like with the Stearns right now, where you and I got with that so much so fast, and then keeping up with the dates and the times of all the things can be challenging. But I thought, since they had been asking, or are now asking for the jurors to go out there, that taking a look around the area and getting to know it, for those who may not know it, or may not be as familiar with it, because it wasn't just a spot you would know about,
Right.
unless you knew.
Right.
Even if you were a traveler, you would be specifically like a van lifer, or a trail camper, or a hiker that purposely went out to do the state parks and the trails, even though I don't think that was part of a state park system, like I'm surrounded by. But still, you got to be specific if that's where you're going to go. You know what I mean? You wouldn't just, you would get on trail whatever website and do your thing and find your trails.
Well, that's why I was wondering if he was already there, or if he saw them get dropped off there. Because if you think about it, if you're just passing someone, you're going to wonder, these girls are young. Do they have anyone else with them? that's not, right here at this moment.
He
So it's just
claims that he saw the 3 girls, which I think there's 2 of their statements are out there for the public to see in the filings, but the 3 girls, I can't remember all 3 of their names right now. They're witnesses. He allegedly sees those 3 girls, but he never says he saw Abby and Libby, like directly saw 2 girls, right? But he saw the 3 girls, and the 3 girls said they saw a man out there as well. And they described him a little bit differently dressed. They all 3 had slightly different descriptions, but kind of similar, you know what I mean, to the
right.
existing rich guy. And then Betsy Blair, excuse me, she is the one who encountered the man on platform 1, and she gave the description of bridge guy number 2. And 2 years after nothing happened with the case, and 2 years of this is audio video of this man, she's like, why did y'all never release the sketch I gave you? Because you've gotten nowhere with the sketch you have released, right?
The
So
2 sketches.
yeah, exactly. So she was like, what if your video and sketch are just completely wrong, but mine is right? What if?
Right.
So they're like, okay, I guess. And then they put it out there. And then voila, you got young guy, bridge guy, old bridge guy, Doug Carter with his magic hands, like Magic Man. The guys just come
And
together.
poof, it's there.
Poof.
More.
Damn it, man. Whatever he's tripping on, right?
Right. Like, what are you looking at? Are you cross-eyed or
What are you
what?
doing with your hands there, Doug? That was a little,
Yeah.
that didn't make no sense to a lot of us with your hand motions.
Are you trying to hypnotize people
I mean,
into
not if you
thinking
know
it's
you got, I mean, come on, you got 2 separate witnesses giving you those
right?
descriptions. So just come out and say that. Just say
Right.
that. This witness saw this man on platform 1. This sketch came from the man we see in the video.
Mm-hmm.
2 different people. Not when they come together, they'll be one. We're like, how does that fucking happen?
Right. Then it takes 5 years. I mean,
Is
that's
there a
the
portal
craziest
out
part.
there too? Oh my God, Jesus, there's a portal too.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I don't know, Doug Carter and his many press conferences always said bizarre things, always gave me like a vibe. Do you know what I mean? Like he was trying to, I don't know, I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to explain him. He likes to control the room, read the room, and control it with his language, if that makes sense. And like direct it. Let's see if we can play this court TV thing without messing up on us. While I go to the bathroom while it plays, let me get the present screen up because we're not going to be here much longer. We all got to get up tomorrow, probably.
Yeah.
Like it's 8 o'clock, and I'm like, is it 10 o'clock already? Like,
I know.
I gotta get back in my groove where when I'm not gone every single day, then I'm usually up later and feeling pretty great. Like I don't feel like super tired tonight, which is nice, a nice feeling.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. Okay. Alright, if an ad pops up, I'm really sorry, guys. I'll get this shit all squared away and fixed up so I can avoid all this. But this is the thing from Court TV. If I suddenly get a swamp signal and I go down for the count, it was nice having you few that are here. I appreciate you ahead of time. Occasionally we'll get the swamp signal, but I'm the only one on the Wi-Fi and everything's kind of pretty good right now. So I think the worst is maybe a damn ad. I'll get that fixed if I have to pay for it for this account too, whatever. I can't have all that. It'll annoy the crap out of me. Okay. It will. Oh, I'm so OCD about some shit. All right, here we go.
Turning now to Indiana, where we have a new update in the Delphi double murders case against.
Could you hear it okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Richard Allen. Allen's defense team has filed a motion to allow the jury to view the Delphi historic trails, the crime scene, and the old abandoned CPS building where Allen allegedly parked his car the day of the murders. Now, Allen is also asking to accompany the jury for this tour of the sites, but his attorneys say he is willing to back out as long as the jury gets to go. To bring us up to speed on where we are in this case, here's Court TV senior producer Barbara McDonald.
There are many dates in a lifetime that you're going to remember. One of those dates was last Friday, October 28, 2022. At that time, we had gathered evidence to formulate a PC that we submitted to the court, and the judge did find probable cause for an arrest of Richard Allen. He's been charged with 2 counts of murder for the murder of Abigail Williams and Liberty German.
Richard Allen is accused of killing 13-year-old Abigail Williams and 14-year-old Liberty German on February 13, 2017. A key piece of evidence in the case is this video found on Libby's cell phone.
When you call the countryside home, healthcare isn't just around the corner. With Teladoc Health, you can save your travel time for adventures, not doctor's appointments. Get connected care without the commute.
I applied to over 200 tech jobs and got rejected from every single one of them. And then I found out about others that were landing 6-figure jobs and working remotely, some of them in their early 20s and even well into their 30s, even 40s. I kept asking myself, when's it going to be my turn to win? Until I discovered a new way to get into this new remote work lifestyle, a way that didn't require me to be an expert or to have a college degree, or to even have previous coding experience. And now, because you're here, I'll unpack the 3 steps that I took to land a $160K per year role at Canva without a degree. And more importantly, I will show you how you can apply these 3 steps for yourself, which my former boss, the founder of Canva, even vouched for himself. I'm David Bragg, founder of Front End Simplified. We help people like you land tech jobs guaranteed without needing a degree or previous experience. The tech industry is already one of the biggest ones in the world, yet it's still expanding by 20% year over year. And global companies with the budget to pay high salaries are desperate right now to find talent. Why, you may ask? The reason is simple. With more and more apps being developed and everything going online, these companies need people to build and support their new features and softwares. And the problem? There's just not enough people out there to pull from. Probably because they think coding is too hard, they think it takes too long to learn, or maybe they don't even know this career exists. That's why this is such an amazing opportunity. Front-end development is the easiest part of coding to learn, yet the average salary is $113,571 per year, and that does not include bonuses. And because of this difference,
The best friends were abducted while crossing the Monon High Bridge, then an abandoned railroad trestle spanning the picturesque Deer Creek. Prosecutors say Allen told an investigator days later that he'd been on the bridge that afternoon, but he hadn't seen the girls. That information was never followed up on until it caught a cold case investigator's attention in 2022, leading to Allen's arrest.
Here comes a guy that has never, ever been announced. He was nobody's radar. It was like, where did this guy come from?
Allen's defense team says he's innocent. They're blaming men they allege are white nationalists who practice Odinism and say Abby and Libby were killed in a ritualistic sacrifice. Law enforcement says there's no evidence of that. Prosecutors also say Allen confessed to the murders more than 60 times, but he was being treated for psychosis, and his attorneys say he was delusional. Richard Allen is now charged with 4 counts of murder for the deaths of Abby and Libby. He could be sentenced to more than 100 years if convicted.
Now, among the issues addressed in this motion is that the crime scene is located on private property. It previously belonged to a man named Ron Logan, but he has since passed, and it's now owned by his only son. Also, the south end of the bridge where the alleged abduction happened is also on private property and difficult to access without the aid of a property owner. What's interesting, too, it's been renovated quite a bit, so it looks a little bit different from when the crime happened. Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson actually visited that bridge, and he gives us a closer look at what the jury view would look like. He also spoke with people living in that community around the time of Allen's arrest in 2022. Take a look.
So we're at about the halfway point of the Monon High Bridge here behind me in Delphi, Indiana. You can see I'm standing on a part that is rebuilt, looks completely different than the area that leads over to private property. About this area right here, that's where that Snapchat photo was taken, where Libby takes a picture of her friend Abby. The two girls, they were heading down the bridge south over to private property, and that's where the abduction happened. What's the mood like in the community with the news?
Yeah, I think it's mainly relief. I mean, I think what's going to come from it is going to be quite concerning because obviously deep down you hope it wasn't somebody local, and obviously we're hearing it was somebody local, and that's going to have a lot of repercussions throughout the community.
Every time I travel from Logansport to Lafayette, I pass under the Freedom Bridge, I always say a prayer that they find out who did this to those little girls. And everything is, today is the day. Today is the day.
What brought you out here today, though? They caught that creep, so now I can come here and enjoy the outdoors. We like to hike all the parks around us.
It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy for the community here and everywhere.
All right, let's bring in our guest still with us to discuss. Former prosecutor, defense attorney David Bruno, state attorney for Palm Beach County, Florida, Dave Arenberg. David Bruno, I'll start with you. Again, we heard there the defense is asking for this jury to be taken on a jury view of 3 different areas. Part of the plan, I would imagine, is as part of their defense, they've been arguing that, look, this had to have been done by more than one person because of the distances between the areas where this crime took place. So that may be part of the thinking. But jury views are not that common. Courts don't grant them very often. We saw it in OJ, of course. We saw it in, for instance, the Parkland murders, but not always granted. What do you think the chances are that'll happen in this case?
I think so. I think it's decent. And I say that because of the circumstantial nature of how they pieced it together. We know from the affidavit of probable cause that they had the vehicle parked across the street by a vacant building. And that's one of the areas that the defense attorney wants to see with the jury. In addition, the different layout and how he would have gotten from the car to the potential crime scene, I think is a point of emphasis for the defense. One thing that does concern me is that things may have changed. And if things have changed, well, then that's a great objection to viewing the scene, because then it would be prejudicial and it wouldn't be as probative as the defense wants it. So I think there is a shot that the defense gets what they want here.
All right, so Dave Arenberg, if in fact they do get it, they're also asking that Richard Allen be brought along. Now, we know there are issues. You see the way they sort of cart him back and forth to court. They think, folks might try to kill him. Security is an issue. Do you think that's a possibility?
I think it's less likely that he'd be allowed to be there. In fact, the defense doesn't seem to push too hard. They just want the jury to be.
I'm going to have to go back to the probable cause affidavit for Richard Allen, because I don't recall it being mentioned in the PCA about the car on the camera. And there's been a lot of talk about the car on the camera. And the description that Betsy gave of the car she saw parked over there, and the description somebody else saw of the car versus what Richard Allen's car looks like. I'm going to find the filings with those talking about that in it as well, because it's all going to come down to evidence in the end. You know what I mean? They already can. They can't. Let me see what I did with that document earlier, because it's important. And what they did was they filed to, before they did this, wanting to go and look at the crime scene. So they had filed motions to, bring in their third-party defense and to talk about different things that they wanted. So the judge
Right.
is like, no, you can't do any of that. And where'd it go? We're starting at number 1. So it was a motion in limine that they filed. And so she goes on to tell them, that you can't come in here into the courtroom and bring any of that in. You can't come in and speak about Odinism or anyone that you looked at, allegedly, cult ritualistic killings, Brad Holder, Patrick Westfall, Johnny Messer, Elvis Fields, who was the one who asked the officer about the spit and all that.
Right.
Ed Smith, Abrams, Keegan Klein. Can't come in court and bring him up, even though he's doing time for communicating with one of the girls. They knew that his phone did communicate, or his account, the account he had, communicated with Libby the night before and allegedly the morning of.
Right.
So
that is
why,
crazy.
right? That it's like, that's too much. That's a lot that's a lot for one
It
case.
is. I was just thinking that. I've never seen so much not be allowed.
I know. And they're not even allowed to come in and mention the name Ron Logan. They were found on his property. So do you walk in and say they were found on private property? Is that all you're allowed to say? You know what I mean? You're not allowed to say they were found on Ron Logan's property. Yeah, I guess you got to say private property. Are you going to get like a contempt of court charge if you slip up and do say it? They can't bring in any reference to the investigation conducted by Todd Click. Todd Click was an investigator out of the FBI task force with 2 other agents, one of which is no longer with us, Greg Ferenczi. He was killed by a former prison guard. So, and Todd Click and Ferenczi and the other guy, I can't recall his name right now, they very early on suspected the Odinism angle, right? And they're the ones who kind of, I guess, launched that part of the investigation. So you're not even, can't come in there and talk about those guys. Any reference to geofencing and or testimony from Kevin Horman about geofencing or findings from any of the geofence search, they're saying it is not relevant. They don't mention that Richard Allen's phone's within the geofence. The defense mentions there's 3 phones of interest. I don't know whose phones those are, but the defense, our prosecution, has come out and said, no, we're not, no geofencing allowed. Nick has come out and said, the prosecutor, and spoke bad about geofencing. Now, the thing about that is, it was new when this case happened. Geofencing was, or, had just being used by law enforcement widely. And it was used in this case. But now that this case is ready to go to trial, the rulings on geofencing just changed. And they're no longer constitutional. You don't have probable cause to search everybody within that geofence warrant. Because once you do that, you get all these, so you get 100 names. Now you can investigate 100 people without probable cause, other than the fact that they're in this. So, but that matters now going forward, not now going backwards, right? So if geofencing worked in the past, Nick, why wouldn't it work now? So you can't even bring in the geofencing.
It's like she's trying to narrow what, like, anything else that the prosecution themselves investigated. I mean, that the police investigated.
Right. Any aspect of their investigation that led to nowhere in their eyes, you can't bring up. Any reference to any prior bad acts or acts of any witnesses that plan to testify at the trial, that is not relevant. And I'm assuming that would be like the people from the prison who were posted up outside of the companions. that are, they put them out there, like if you're on suicide watch, they'll put a companion outside the door. And there was alleged confessions made to these companions, and they're prisoners too. So I guess if they're going to testify, you can't come in and say, oh well, look at their history, they're just bad people.
But
I'm
they've,
assuming.
in other cases, the defense has been able to do that. So why this
Yeah,
case?
right. It's like everything. Every single thing that they have ever asked for is crazy. Like if I was a judge, I mean, I could see maybe some of it, but not, I mean, everything. It's like you're on purpose being like, watch me do this. What are y'all going to do? Like, that's weird.
You're just
That's
putting more
weird.
out there for them to be able to come back on appeal for
And I
if he is
wondered,
convicted.
does she see a whole bunch of messery? And that's my new word instead of saying the F word all the time. Does she see a whole bunch of that? And she's like, you know what? Screw you guys. I'm going home. I was going to do this, this, and this, and they need to go get an appeal. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
is she doing it all on purpose so they can have a million reasons for an appeal?
But so blatantly, that's
But
just crazy.
I don't know how successful they'll be in Indiana on appeals. Indiana's crazy with their laws,
Right.
and their rulings, and the way they do things is much different than Florida. Wow. Any references to how the files were labeled that were handed over to the defense as part of the information and discovery provided to defense counsel by the state that are not relevant or that would tend to cause confusion of the issues or to mislead the jury. But any reference to how the files were labeled and were handed over, like, don't talk about our bad clerical stuff. What the actual filings? It's gonna be our new slogan. What the actual filings?
Right. But in the just the two what am I looking for? The two sketches themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know. I mean, even that in itself is questionable. So next, is that going to be next?
Right. Well, it's the thing is, Libby's video that Bridge Guy came from is 43 seconds long, and we've seen a loop of a guy walk, take 2-3 steps, like a loop video of that at best.
I'm really curious what the rest of it is.
Yeah, what's that whole 43 seconds hold? I do have an interview, I believe it was with Tobe Lesenby, and he was pressed on the issue and finally admitted that yes, the family had asked in the past to release more of the video, but they decided no, that it wouldn't be a good idea, even for the families. And it was like, well, but if have they seen the whole 43 seconds, or have they seen most of it? Have they not seen any more than what we've seen and still didn't care? Like, go ahead and release a little more because it might help. That what you did release wasn't enough. So I'm curious as to why they wouldn't. Are there things on there we don't want to hear or see? But is there more that can prove? If it's a whole 43 seconds long, I'm willing to say there's more of Bridge Guy. Do you know what I mean? But if it's when they got to the end of the bridge and she was videotaping him, that phone went into her pocket at some point. And that's where you get the audio from guys down the hill. Was the phone in her pocket for half of that time? Say like maybe 20 seconds of it's her filming him, maybe the other 20 it's in the pocket. Or less or more, I don't know. Curious to know. Either way, if it can't see things, it can hear things, We probably don't really want to know what all it's on there. It's crazy. So don't come in and talk about our bad filing. All right. Any reference to any PowerPoints provided by the state as executive briefs involving any person or persons that were investigated by law enforcement as part of the 6 years investigation into the murder of Abigail and Liberty German that are not relevant or may cause confusion. Wow, because y'all haven't even talked about a couple of the other guys that were looked at, or the Bill and Peggy Stevens possible connection that was looked into by their department. This is crazy talk. Yeah, so the phone data contained is available since 2017. The defense did not receive the data from the phone on the deadline of the 22nd. So there's a lot of with Libby's phone going on as well. And it's really sad that we are going to trial, scheduled to go to trial in October, and there's no cameras, and no audio. So I guess we have to wait on their darn transcripts, and we haven't even went over the transcripts from the 3-day hearing here yet. You know what I mean? My goodness. You'd have to hold like a fake trial and get like a whole bunch of actors to read the trial transcripts. Would they really do that to us? Like, oh my goodness. At least in Lori Vallow, we got audio at the end of the day to review versus even though we didn't get a live trial out of her. It's crazy.
And I don't think they're going to allow him to go with the jury. I highly doubt that.
Probably not, right? She'll have her reasons for not allowing it, security and things of that nature. They're already talking about blocking off the streets down there and doing all these things. Like, I guess it's not Brian Koberger trial. There are a lot of people who are very upset about what's going on with Delphi, but it's almost like it's two different, well, in the YouTube world, it's two different communities, or if that's the right word. Do you know? I don't know. I understand when you have a case that you really lean into and support heavily. I do get it. I do. And we'll be getting together this week. I've been trying to, well, I haven't really started yet, but I'm going to be organizing those videos of the interviews of the Stearns case, trying to get them better aligned with their dates to review. Had to take a break for a day or two. Goodness, that case gets so much, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And then just when you think, okay, I'm kind of caught up, new stuff comes out.
Yeah, every time we turn around, and with 3 different creators all getting the same docs, but they're like almost at different times doing parts. So we're here getting a lot at one time, and it was a little it's overwhelming, yes, but at the heart of it is Maddie, and I keep I'm working on something, a little project I started last night, because I feel like all of this happened for a reason. That damn tire happened for a reason. Maddie was put where Maddie was put for a reason. That's where the tire blew out. And you can't tell me any differently. That's where he was stopped. That's where he was changing it. It wasn't just your standard, oh, look, I got a flat. It blew out. He was stopped right there. And he panicked, and he put her over there. And I don't know if that was just a quick, let me get her out of the car in case somebody stops to help me kind of thing. I got to get in the trunk and get this spare tire out. And that's where she was. Remember, because he had stopped in the garage, at the parking garage of that hotel, and transferred her from the front seat to the trunk. And then he went home and hung out with Jen for a little while with Maddie in the trunk. And then he goes out there, and I think because if he had kept going a few more miles to the right around that curve, he'd have been in this large wooded area with lakes and could have done a lot of different things. But the tire blew out right there. And lo and behold, there is the, what was it? The bamboo patch.
Right.
So I think he panicked, and there's not a ton of traffic back there all at one time. It's going to be random, and you know what I mean? You can see either, like on my highway, you can look and see for a long way if anybody's coming. You got time to run to the woods real quick and run back to the car. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's not
Right.
like everybody
Between the
could see.
tire and the witness, just all
Right,
of it.
fortunate. I was about to say, because then you take that witness into the account, right? That happened to see him. Now that he's done what he did with Maddie, and he's maybe, I don't know when. I would say he probably placed Maddie over there before he got busy with that tire in case somebody had stopped, because that trunk had to come open to get the jack and the spare and all that stuff. So then you get the witness, perfect timing, that made the eye contact with him as he passed him, because it's such a random area and there's not a lot of people. You're going to pay more attention. If there's a lot of cars, you probably wouldn't have really looked hard, but he
Right.
did, because there was nothing else to look at, right? I'd look. Luckily he did. And during that press conference, or when they put it out on their social medias, he's like, wait a minute, that's the guy that I saw. That's the car that I saw. So when he notified them, then he said in the interview, what did he say? That he had made a call, but they said it was too vague, the tip. So he went back out there and took photographs, and then he called the police back.
Right.
I remember the cop said, well, why did you go take the photographs? And he told him why. He's like, I want to make sure I remembered, and lo and behold, thank goodness that witness saw him right where the tire blew out, because that's where they found her.
Yeah,
I
and they
think
made
that was
eye contact, I believe he said.
right. So divine intervention. Maddie is saying, you're put the brakes on his ass. Find me here, and now tell the world. Because when I listened, if you go back to Jennifer's very first interviews with media, and the way I felt about her then, I was like, I don't know about her.
Yeah.
Honest to God, I didn't know either way. She looked like a lady who could have been flipping out, had no sleep, or she could have just been one weird lady that was doing some weird stuff, especially when she touched on him. It was gross. I found that they were bizarre behaviors, but I was reserved with it. And as things progressed and we began reading the narratives and the things that were coming out, we're all like, whoa, shit, that she knew and all. But as we're getting more now and getting more of the context of those conversations, but when I listened to her ex-husband, Stephen, in his interview, man, it really, for me, solidified my working theory on Jennifer. And it's the sad one, which is sad for Madeline, because there's too many kids out there living the same circumstances that Maddie had to live in. Label me, I'll label you. There are a lot of people out there right now being given a lot of labels by doctors, and a lot of medications being prescribed for these said labels. And these labels are the reason you are the way you are. Well, where's the work we got to do to get over that? We don't do that anymore? Because I'm hearing the same, like, I get it. Back in the day, it was like PTSD and anxiety. I have both, but I don't take medication and sleep all the damn time. I cannot do
Yeah.
that. That's not me.
It's the
I
same
choose
as when with pain meds that were being prescribed.
Right.
It's the same
Right.
thing.
I live with pain every damn day. I got a heating pad that never leaves my bed, but guess what?
Yeah.
I might overtake like a goody powder or something in a 24, but I'm not about
Right.
to be on no damn. Fuck, I can't. No, I can't. I don't even drink. I don't. I take gummies. I medicate with CBD and THC. I'm not gonna lie. I live in Florida. It's legal. I'm good to go.
But you're
Caffeine.
still an
No.
active member of
Yeah.
society.
Even
You're
though
not.
you can have a condition, but you have to do work. There's a lot of there's just a lot of labels now. Even with these kids, the hydroxyzine, they're all given that now, and it's just souped up damn Benadryl. It's an antihistamine. Excuse me, that's prescribed for anxiety in children, and it
Yeah.
that stuff will make you feel that makes you feel hyper. That stuff does. I'm like, well, why? But so yeah, it bothers me now because Jennifer sounds like, acts like a very broken individual who checked out on parenthood, motherhood years ago. The guy talked about how she would shut down, and couldn't take care of the kids. They would go visit Jen's mom to give Jen a break. So she was doing that even when Maddie was little. So then by the time Maddie's 6 years old, she has Stearns in her life.
Right.
He starts grooming shortly after, and wow, what progressed. And there's a lot of kids out there living what Maddie lived right now, and that's the sad part. And
Right.
her voice needs to be heard. Her story needs to be told. She needs to be heard because there seems to be a lot of people that listened but didn't hear.
And awareness for others who have family members can notice those same red flags and maybe help somebody, and it won't lead to and they won't have to go through what Maddie lived through her whole life.
Because if you give Jennifer, given the severe mental illness this woman seemed to have, and the fact that she just seemed to turn the other way and let things be because it was easier for her to go sleep all the time and do whatever it was she was doing. There's no excuse for what she did, none whatsoever. But her labels, right, and her meds. And if you look at some of his Reddit posts and things of this nature and his manipulative ways, and one that I read a long time ago, a few months ago when I found it, before I knew everything I know now about Jennifer and all the different things we know, I could see him saying things to her like that about this situation. And I do have documentation of this, and I'm going to make a video on it because it's really important, I think, to show. This is his response on Reddit to someone, a lady who was concerned about her husband being around her daughter based on her fear as what she went through as a child. His response to that, to me, was, wow, dude, really? Is this what you told Jennifer? And I can't get past that. And she was so it became like the perfect storm when these two, they fed off each other, right? She was a freaking easy target. And she chose not to do any work on herself at all, it appears. If you look, and so Plunder found Jennifer's, well, I'm on the same Reddit thread, right, that she was talking about. So I remembered it when I saw the video drop. So I went back to my save and I was like, oh crap, that's right. So I clicked it, and lo and behold, there it was. So Jennifer had an account on a live diary site, and I went through, I didn't finish watching Plunder's video. I just started going through the posts myself and reading. And you get a little more insight into Jennifer. So I'm going to incorporate that into the video with Stern's Reddit post. So it's kind of like both of their social medias, you know what I mean? And
Right.
it just shows you a little bit about Jennifer before, when she was younger, like in her 20s, and her state of mind then compared to how it is now, and how he was as being him, you know. It's just to me, because there's a that psychology thing with these two. What would cause a mother to become so checked out you wouldn't care that this was happening?
Yeah. And I think she may have had some resentment.
Oh yeah, over time, if she even suspected or knew. Do you know what I mean? And him.
Well, not just that, but the fact that she got pregnant with
Oh, yeah.
Maddie,
Yeah.
and he didn't stay with her. So they have a history. So I don't know what she accepted.
Yeah, according to him, it was like they weren't even together. He was literally engaged already to this the wife he has now. He and Jim was like a one night stand type of fling. That it is what it is. It's like, dude, you could have did a little more. I mean, you know, I don't know, who am I to say? I don't know their whole situation, different states, all that crap. I get it. I heard what he said, but
that they dated when they were 16.
Yeah.
So I just don't know. I mean, even though that took place, I don't know what her expectations were, though, of that situation.
I mean, he could have let her believe there was some, and then been like, no, I'm going to stay with my wife. And he may not be 100% honest right now. We don't know.
Right.
The fact is, he wasn't a big part of his daughter's life.
No.
You know, even if you live a whole lot of many, many miles away, we all have phones. You know, the child had a phone. So that, you know, that's on him, you know, like it is on Jen for not. You lived in the freaking house with your daughter.
Exactly.
Sorry. You said you didn't go anywhere during the pandemic. You were at home. So where were you during all the 1,500 times he was photographing your daughter with his phone? Where were you? Knocked out asleep. We heard her routine at night: take her meds, eat some food because she had to have proteins to go with the meds. Then she had about an hour to do her thing, and then she would be out. That's what Stefan said in his interview. And I was like, oh, damn, he's got that down pat. He knows exactly how long it takes her to fall out of sleep. He probably knows exactly how much meds to tell her to take, because I think he was self-diagnosing a lot of people in that house. Jen and Maddie. And I think Jen was buying it hook, line, and sinker. She was going to the doctors constantly. Steven speaks of that. Always going to the doctors, always adjusting her meds. I heard a lot of doctors, meds with Jennifer over years. Years this was gone on. It's not like a new thing for Jennifer. And when you bring Stefan into the picture with a woman like that, right? Dependent on everything. I was already having everybody else watch out for her daughter. Steven said that one of their issues was he wasn't able to be home a lot because he was working and going to school, and Jennifer couldn't take care of the kids, his daughter and Maddie. She would be Jennifer and need help. So it's been going on for years. And then you bring him into the picture, and he's all like, oh, I'll help you. I'll take care of her. You get your sleep. I understand your condition. I have it too. Blah, blah, blah. Perfect storm. You can trust me. I'm not like the man who hurt you. And you know, so we need to come to understand as a society how men like him freaking operate.
Right.
Because we can't blame it all on Jen. We can blame a whole hell of a lot on her. And as a mother, I do. Because I honestly don't care in the end about your conditions. You know damn well right from wrong. And you should always protect your daughter. And if you were so bad off you couldn't care for your daughter, your family should have stepped in years ago and took her away.
Yep.
Because if one of my children couldn't mentally handle raising their child, I'm gonna have to do what I gotta do. Both move in with me, damn it, whatever. I gotta raise you both, whatever. But I gotta watch out for that kid. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's weird, but people are different. I don't know, man. They are so different. We're not going to finish watching that court TV thing because it's just going to talk about the ins and outs of taking a jury, and we pretty much have discussed that, and we don't need experts to tell us the difference of what we have already talked about probably and touched on there.
Right.
Like,
Now it's just to wait and see how she's gonna rule.
yeah, I think she's there's still a couple of rulings. I think she ruled finally on all the 3-day stuff, the 3-day hearings that were held. I think she made rulings on that stuff. I have to check in with some of my go-tos on that. Like I said, I did get some documents sent to me on a DM to go over some geofencing stuff because I want to put together a live on that, and do a good just to go over geofencing. I always found I love to go over evidence type stuff, and it's not going to be allowed in the trial, so we won't spend a lot of time on it, but I wanted to just look at some stuff with it. Let me see something here, guys, on the YouTube. Okay. Fix this. Oh my goodness. I've really got to fix this screen sharing thing on my other account. It's so weird because all the settings are turned on. Everything's the same. That is the only account I can't share from, and it worked the way I want it to. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I got to figure it out. Because this one won't let me. This one don't have my stupid premium crap on it. I was going to get an update on this. Oh, it's starting to boom.
Yeah.
Tracking the tropics, powered by Bose Electric, will begin momentarily.
So that heating is going to be coming through the Yucatan right there, and then once it crosses the Yucatan into the Gulf, I'm like over here somewhere. Yeah. I'm over here.
It's
on
really
the left
close.
Side. I'm on the left side of that red cone. I need to stay to the left side. I don't want to be in the middle or on the right. I feel bad for the Tampa all the way to the big Apalachicola area. They're gonna, but see how it comes in, and it's gonna go do. It's got to do some. They make me nervous that far out because I know they can switch courses halfway through the Gulf. It really depends on timing.
Yep. We thought the one that was going to hit Corpus ended up hitting like the Houston area, like Galveston area.
There's
I forgot which one it was.
A system that'll be coming down, right? It's going to be coming down as this is going up, and that's will actually pull it in the direction that it goes. That's the steering conditions is what tells them where to go. And this one, once it gets into the Gulf, it's going to move pretty quick. They usually do, and they'll blow up to a Cat 4 and then back down to a Cat 3 usually, which by that time there's no difference. And but this one is forecast to just be sucked right up out of the Gulf by this system. But it all depends on timing. If that thing stalls or slows down, it could literally keep it out there a little longer, or steer it more toward my side, which like, don't do that last minute bullshit. You know what I mean? I've been through that. Don't do it.
Exactly.
So I don't want it for anybody because Cat 3,
Right.
the Cat 3s are strong. They're bad enough where we deal with them pretty well, but 4 or 5, that's catastrophic, especially with the storm surge that's involved. So I don't know that. I guess they got some warnings out. Let's see. Will you get in trouble? I heard you get in trouble for playing these people's stuff. Hold on. I ain't getting in trouble.
Yeah.
I'm not monetized. Does that matter? Dude,
I don't know. I think you
hold
can
up.
still get struck.
There's plenty of people out there to look at. I got my friend, my buddy I always watch here. What's he doing? I've heard things about that dude. Like, nah.
Oh, really?
Well, there's a creator out there that's gotten in trouble. I'm not going to say anything. I don't really know the whole story. I just like, what?
Wow.
I don't know how deep it was. I don't know if this has sound or not. I have sound on. 115 miles per hour. So, and then this should go up and just be a rainmaker and windmaker all the way up through the Atlanta area.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We'll see how strong it gets, you know. Well, look at the little spaghetti models. They're like, which way do I go? Which way do I go?
Yeah.
We got that
I
lone
know.
wolf. We got that lone wolf out here going, see, I told you.
Yeah.
Nah. We'll go with all the rest, straight up.
The majority.
Right?
Go with the majorities.
Go with that one wayward soul. It's so bad because usually if the crowd goes right, I go left. Look at that one lone.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
How many times have you had to evacuate over the years? Too many?
Well, it depends. If you live directly on the coast, on the water, or in a low-lying area, you need to go because of the flooding and everything. So bad. So really only 3 times, but when I say that, I just mean to my sister's house, right?
Right.
In the country, away from the water.
Mhm.
Made the mistake of staying on the water once. What turned out to be a devastating storm surge Cat 3 hurricane. Never again.
Oh, wow.
You only do that once in Florida, and then you're like, oh
Learn
shit.
your lesson.
Oh shit, they were right.
Yeah.
That was not expected. We're used to wind. I'm like, okay, the roof will go, no biggie. I'll grab this and that and do my thing. But the water was like, whoa, shit, really? It's still coming?
Wow.
It leaves the Gulf of Mexico and it goes inland, and it has to go somewhere. It'll fill up all these houses along the coast. Even the ones inland and off the water will become full of water, you know, and it's sad. And even inland,
Yeah.
you can get, you know, if you live along a creek or the rivers, these rivers will they will crest at their, gosh, I think during Ivan, I think Shoal River crested at its record. It was like 13 feet above. We were like, holy shit. And my sister and them, and they have to move their campers and everything because when the hurricanes come, because the rivers will definitely leave their banks and flood. So there's a lot of flooding that takes place. Anybody along any body of water needs to get off that water. It just is what it is. But literally, if you're going to leave the state, you need to go ahead and go 3 days in advance. That's my advice because you're not going to get anywhere except stuck on the interstate. I bet every hotel between there and Atlanta, either way, Georgia, Alabama, all of this, even probably down towards South Florida, all that's probably booked people trying to
Well,
get
I'm
away
sure.
and trying to get out,
Right.
especially people who are new to the area. They don't know what the hell to do. They got to go. You know what I mean? That's scary, and it should be.
Right.
A Cat 3, you don't know what that is. It's frightening, and they don't mean they don't really want to scare people, but people don't take. I grew up with these hurricanes, and Hurricane Andrew hit my South Florida homestead at a Cat 4. It took every roof in Homestead and Miami off damn near every house. It leveled Homestead, Florida, almost the whole town. They had to build
These days, the best doctors don't need a waiting room.
They had to build tent cities, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have like FEMA trailers. They built tent cities and things of that nature. So you see that happen, and then even when I was a little girl, Frederick was in '79. I remember the water being way up in town near my grandpa's house, and I remember
Wow.
thinking, how did all that water get it? People had boats out there, and it was just from the rainfall. It hit Mobile Bay, which put our town to the right, eastern quadrant, the worst side to be on, and it slammed us for hours. All that water was pushed into downtown, and it was just everywhere. So it takes it a while to recede. So anyway, I'm used to like flooding and roofs being torn off, trees coming down, but I wasn't prepared for what happened during that Hurricane Ivan, being on the water and watching all that water leave the Gulf and come in like that, and the force that water had was insane, because they warned us that storm surge, and we had never really heard much about that before. We hear wind, da da da, wind. We're all like prepared for this damn wind, but storm surge was like, well, okay, what is that? You know, we know what the water rises. No, storm surge, and they tried, but we didn't listen, right? And they're saying the same thing with this one. They did it with Michael as well. So it's just all you can do is just get off the damn water. You know, you can't evacuate your whole state. All you can do is get inland and be prepared with all your supplies and things you got to do. First 72 are on you. Get a game plan. So I hope they'll all be okay. You know, they call for mandatory evacuations on the beaches and things like that. Like, you can get in trouble if you stay. And literally during the storm, once it gets a tropical storm force winds, all the bridges will close. And you can call 911 during a hurricane, but they will not come out there. And they tell you that. You know that going into it. You can call and tell them where you are located, but they cannot send their first responders out during the storm. That's crazy. You know, that's dangerous. Dangerous for their.
Well, it's crazy to even ask. I mean, if you.
Yeah, if you went against evacuation orders, right, and you chose to stay, then that is on you, and you just have to hunker down at that point. And people do it all the time, and even the ones they interviewed after Michael, that one guy, man, I couldn't believe he stayed where he stayed. His house was like out on a peninsula even, and super flat. So we're talking nothing to no barrier island, no nothing. And and I was surprised most of his house, part of it went, part of it didn't. But he was like, he thought he was gonna die, and he's like, I stayed, you know. I was like, damn, that. And he was the older guy. I was like, that dude had some, you know what's, because even I would have been like, nah, no. I bet that was one freaky ass ride that he probably never wants to do again. Never, never, never. So anyway.
Well, you got a story to tell, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, shoot. It's no fun to ride out hurricanes. So I hope everybody heeds the warnings and follows the evacuation orders, and takes their precautions for themselves and their pets, and get ready to ride it out. That's all you can do, and hope that it's not too long after that your power gets back on.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is. It's Florida life. Florida life.
Well, say a prayer for everyone and hope everyone's safe.
Yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up for the night. Thank you guys for coming in and strolling around the bridge with us at the Monon High and taking a look at the terrain there. There's some more really good videos out there, and Mr. Steve has one I want to pull up and watch as well when we do another show. But Butterfly and I are going to be putting together just a show to kind of recap some of the stuff with the Stearns Soto case. And give our thoughts on that case, and then we're going to get our Delphi case together and finish doing some things there, because like I said, the trial is coming up. We're not going to get much about the trial as it's happening, except reports of people who are there daily, but we'll do the best we can to keep up with it. And we're going to be looking more into the Crystal Rogers case coming up. I want to get more in the beginning with that for you guys, and a more in-depth leading up to where we are now with it, because hers will be moving along soon as well, hopefully, And
Yeah.
I've been for updates, because remember, what was it, 2 weeks ago, I think, the FBI was back out there at the property of the house.
Oh, yes. Definitely.
Yes, I have been waiting on updates about that, checking on the updates, and I've nothing. I can't find anything yet about that search that they did or didn't find anything, or found something for testing. Nothing has come out about it yet. So I'm keeping tabs on that and hoping we get something. But I'm going to follow up on the court filings with the can see how that's moving along, because since I separated the cases over there, so I want to get everything in order for the case so we can follow it through to the trial. So we'll be all caught up on it. So we'll be looking forward to that. All right, guys. Well, thank you, Butterfly, for coming in and hosting with me. Always appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and thank you for those of you who have come in and hung out and listened to the show. Thank you for those who come in and commented. If you would, guys, if you're on the replay crew, if y'all would like and subscribe and share, please, we'd appreciate it. Help us grow. All right. Well, everybody have a good night. We appreciate it.
All right. Good night, everyone. Good night, Salty.
Good night.